Hello, everyone. I'm Joshua Allen. This is
Saul Good.
Yes, and he's a juvenile counselor. I'm going to interview him to see what the day of my life is. The day in the life is like for a juvenile counselor. My first question, Saul Good, is why does the world need a juvenile counselor?
Well, I come from a community where you had a lot of adolescents, a lot of kids, growing up, single parent homes, latchkey. So, after school, it was us hanging out all day, hanging out sometimes all night, and without that proper care, you tend to get into things, making bad decisions, you go steal a pop from the store, or you go hop a fence you ain't supposed to be over there, and we tend to get into a lot of predicaments, and sometimes kids get in way over their heads, and that's where the role of juvenile counselor is to counsel a kid, counsel a juvenile to adolescent to help them get back on the right track to become a productive citizen in society.
Okay. My next question is...
I have a question.
What's the question?
How's my hair look?
It looks okay.
I can get down there.
My next question is, what qualifications are needed to obtain this type of job?
Well, you at least need a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, and certification to become a juvenile counselor in order to obtain the job. That I would say that's minimum requirements. There's other things you can do to enhance your professionalism on a job, but those would be the minimum.
Okay. What professional responsibilities are required of a juvenile counselor?
Okay. Well, I would say to start off, you will need to have psychological experience. I know that sounds, like kind of over your head, but let me break that down. So, you have psychological experience, a person who would a juvenile counselor who encounter a juvenile, they would be able to, depict and decipher what they are experiencing emotionally, mentally, and maybe even spiritually, if they could connect on that level. And the reason why that's important is because a lot of times adolescents have a very difficult time communicating their emotions, communicating how they feel, putting those feelings into words where we can understand them as adults. So that is a very necessary requirement. Another training is they have to have civil examination training. They have to be able to go into the field, examine adolescents' living style, examine the adolescents' home life, if it's a stable home, if it's a safe home, if there's examples or if there are signs of abuse in that home, if there are signs of molestation or neglect, in that home, and those factors feed into each other because a psychological factor could stem from a civil factor. So, yeah.
Okay. My last question is, what does a typical day look like for a juvenile counselor?
Okay. Well, usually depending on what time you wake up in the morning, it'll start off with traffic. Especially if you're living in the greater Houston area.
Yes, Houston.
You know what I'm saying? So you get to the office and you have to check your email and you're seeing if you got any new referrals, if you got any new cases, if and then after that following up with old cases, if you got to go refer from a judge or a civil lawyer or something like that. You go and do those things, and and it's regular for a counselor to have to work, nights, in the office past 7, weekends, you're coming in on Saturdays, maybe even Sundays, even holidays, because a juvenile counselor really doesn't have a day off. They don't have time off because we're here to help the kids transition back into or transition into becoming productive citizens, young men and women in society. So if you get a call 3 a.m. about one of your kids, they're in a bad situation, or they've been taken downtown, or they're at the hospital, they're gonna call you in, and you have to go respond. So the job is never over.
Yeah. So I said that on the last question, but it led me to another question. Like I feel that you have to have the heart for this kind of job, the passion for the children. Yeah. So do you love your job?
Well, professionally, it's hard to say that, because in a professional setting, especially dealing with kids, you can't add, your personal feelings into a job professionally, because that can compromise your professional judgment. However, from a personal level and a personal experience, I love my job with everything that I have, because a lot of times, as a juvenile counselor, you're taking sacrifices. You might have to deal with, certain people you don't want to deal with. Like I said, at times you might have to cancel plans because you have to come into the office, or you got to go meet somebody at a location because, one of your adolescents may be in need, they may be in distress, they may be in trouble, so that has to require love, because if you don't love your job, if you're not connected to helping these people become successful young men and young women, then it will become a burden, and it will become a heavy burden, and then then you would not be performing to the maximum level in helping and engaging these adolescents as we're required to.
Okay. It was a pleasure interviewing you, sir.
Yeah.
And we're out.